This is a public service podcast sponsored by the 712 crew and the good folks of Are We Recording Entertainment. Fellow Americans, it is... Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of the NCAA March Madness Tournament breakdown special. Yesterday we had Florida and ISU as two of our Final Four picks. So let's move on to, guys, what should we do? Midwest or West first?
West.
West?
Go West.
All right. Let's start it off then. Arizona, Weber State. Should I just move Arizona? Should we just move one seeds forward?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bear down.
All right. Next up, Gonzaga. Everyone's used to be favorite mid-major team. Now everyone's super salty on them against Oklahoma State. I'm going to stick with all the Marcus Smart hate that's been happening on this podcast lately. I'm still going to stick with the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I'm taking the Pokes as well. Gonzaga, the slipper, still does not fit.
Go Pokes. LSU for me as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a rebuilding year for Gonzaga, which still results in a tournament run, which for a mid-major is impressive, but not impressive enough to beat Oklahoma State.
Okay, next up, North Dakota State at Oklahoma, or not again at, but I don't know why I keep saying that. Regardless, the 5-12 matchup, the vaunted 5-12. We have yet to pick a 5-12. Oh yeah, we did. We picked Harvard. Never mind. I'm full of crap. Anybody have? What do we got here? Let's go around.
I got Oklahoma.
Yeah, I've got OU moving on as well. But North Dakota State, I wouldn't underrate them so much. Oklahoma kind of had a little bit of a slide there in the Big 12 tournament, so we'll see how they come out and compete in the NCAAs.
Give me Oklahoma. I never knew they were playing so well and under the radar until you picked them for your team, Ryan, a while back. And they've played every team really well. They've been close in a lot of good games. So I'm taking Oklahoma.
Guess I'm the lone wolf with the 12 over the 5 here. I like North Dakota State.
You are, sir. I'm running with your Wolfpack.
I think they're a little bit better inside than Oklahoma is. They're they're really almost the exact same team. Both are scoring at around the same rate, shooting at around the same rate. But I like the 5-12 upset here. Give me the Bison.
Yeah, I also like that, but unfortunately for us, that's only 2 out of 5 votes. So, but I also think that this is an upset game right here. Moving on, San Diego State against New Mexico State. I have another upset here. I'm going to go with New Mexico State.
I labored over this one a little bit. I was leaning towards New Mexico State, but I like Steve Fisher and I like San Diego State, so I got the Aztecs moving on.
Give me the Aztecs too.
Yeah, I like the Aztecs. New Mexico State guard Casey Ross Miller found out today he's not playing again for the rest of the season. I think that might be a bit of a better factor there. So I like the Aztecs.
I have the Aztecs moving on as well.
So I'm the asshole here. Is that what we're saying, guys?
Looks like it.
All right. Well, here come everybody. Pour up a drink. Everyone make sure their glasses are full, whatever they're drinking, because we will be doing a lot of it here. Number 6, Baylor against number 11. Ryan, I'm going to let you say the name so we can all drink.
The Nebraska ball, Cornhuskers.
Drink twice. Ryan, you know what? Why don't you start this off, kiddo? I'll let you go ahead and tell us who you think is going to win.
Well, this is actually a pretty intriguing 11-6 matchup.
No,
coming out. Every time I say something like this is an intriguing matchup about Nebraska, you're like, oh come on, this can't be. Anyway, when this was when the pairing was announced, a lot of people, like, I don't know how many people watched bracketology yesterday on ESPN, but it seemed like everyone was going with Nebraska, which is kind of scary. It's like, oh man, hype train's already in full steam. Nebraska for a national title is already going full bore right now. But Baylor plays a zone, which could give Nebraska a little bit of trouble offensively. They really don't have too many scorers outside of Petaway and Shields. But I like Nebraska still to get their first tournament victory in school history.
I was thinking about this one a lot, too. I was pretty close to picking Nebraska, but I don't think they're obviously experienced enough in the tourney, so I'm taking Baylor.
Call out.
It's been a while for them.
It's true.
I picked Nebraska for the sole reason, and this is a terrible reason to pick a team, I realize that I really want to see Creighton and Nebraska play in the second round.
Honestly, that's no worse reason than any other picks, man. I mean, let's be real. So you got Nebraska?
Yeah, I got Nebraska. Plus Ryan did make that sign for me a few years ago at the Nebraska basketball game, and I probably owe him for life because of that.
3.0?
I like Baylor here. It's actually a close game, I think, former Big 12 North rivals. I just think that Baylor's experience will win out here, not so much in the coaching battles. Scott Drew has been a pretty solid coach this year, but he's always had a little bit of a history of poor time management, poor uses of timeouts, but I like the Bears here.
If it comes down to coaching, give me Tim Miles 100 out of 100 times.
I think that might as well be a drink right there. I'm going to actually go with Nebraska here. Baylor has shown that
We're moving on.
Baylor has shown that they can be a really bad basketball team. They've shown that they can be an okay team and a really bad team, and I think the really bad team shows up. And Nebraska's got some motivation here. It's their first time seemingly ever.
I got one more point, and then we can move on.
Of course you do.
Matchup to watch would be whoever is or Walter Pitchford versus whoever Baylor puts on him. Baylor's got height, but Pitchford can step out and knock down the three, so could be a big part of this game.
Plus Isaiah Austin can barely see anything, so that was a low blow.
Now let's go from Ryan's favorite team to Ryan's least favorite team.
Creighton against the Lafayette, fighting Lafayettes. This seems to be, it's weird. I've seen a lot of a surprising amount of upset picks here, which I don't necessarily see. So I'm going to go Creighton moves on.
Creighton's offense is too much for the Raging Cajuns to handle, both offensively and defensively. ULL can't defend worth a what.
The Jays got some hearty boos at Pinnacle Bank Arena during the watch party, but after Nebraska popped up, I think most Nebraska fans are rooting for Creighton because we want another shot at them. Give me the Jays.
Drink twice, by the way, guys.
I'm taking Creighton as well. Too good.
I'm going with Doug McDermott and Creighton.
Okay. OG, I'm going to let you go ahead and announce this game just because for reasons obvious.
So for the 7-10 game, as I mentioned at the beginning of yesterday's podcast, Oregon plays BYU in a rematch of a game that actually went into overtime in Eugene. That was before BYU lost one of their starting guards in Kyle Collinsworth, though, which that was in the WCC tournament. So we will see how that impacts their team in the actual game, and not really before then.
3.0, you killed BYU yesterday. You said they shouldn't even be in the tournament. So
yeah, I think Oregon wins this. BYU, they're just a little too banged up, and it's really tough to go into the tournament when you're pretty much depleted, and that's where they stand right now. So give me the Ducks.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous. Josh, are you going to be a contrarian here?
No, Ducks fine.
Next up, the greatest team in all of the land. Oh, Ryan. Okay, Ryan. Are you gonna switch it up, or are we just wasting our time here?
Dana Altman representing Nebraska a third time over in this regional. I got the Ducks moving on.
Okay. So really stopped us to say that.
Yeah, I did. I got the third Nebraska shot in. So
drink again. All of our listeners are freaking hammered already, and we're not even in the Sweet 16 yet.
We might as well skip the Midwest bracket.
Because no one's gonna remember it. The greatest team in all of the land, the Badgers, go against America. This was kind of an interesting. It's always got to be something with Wisconsin. They always got to play some team that everyone else can root for. I got plenty of USA texts when the bracket was announced from my friends, which was kind of funny. But you know me, I'm an anti-American. I'm going to stick with my Badgers here. Anybody? Should I even...
The bad joke that I saw here, and it wasn't from Brian, it was, this is the battle for what type cheese is the best.
Oh, God.
As a person who goes to a school that recently lost to a 15 seed, just hope they don't light up the box score and shoot efficiently.
If something happens in this game, I'm absolutely gonna lose my freaking mind if they lose this game. I'm just gonna throw that out there. All right, Wisconsin moves on. Enough nonsense. Arizona, Oklahoma State. This is kind of an interesting game. Oklahoma State seems to be kind of a trendy pick. They went from being probably overrated to probably underrated, and now they're probably overrated a little bit again. They've had a kind of a roller coaster, rocky season. That being said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go Oklahoma State. Give me them.
Oklahoma State's troubles during the regular season might help them a little bit in the tournament. You never know. Teams that face a little bit of adversity might fare a little better. Arizona had to face some adversity when Brandon Ashley went down. I think they've righted the ship there a little bit. So I like U of A moving on.
I'm taking
Marcus. Okay. We keep on doing this to each other.
I'll take Arizona. I think they're just a little too good for Oklahoma State.
If Marcus Smart can get into the key regularly and flop as he's been known to do and get fouls on Arizona's big men, Arizona might be in trouble. That being said, I will pick Arizona.
I like Oklahoma State in this game.
There it is.
I think Marcus Smart is the difference, and Arizona better hope that this doesn't come down to free throw shooting because they are one of the worst teams in the country in free throw shooting. 313th in the country.
See, now that I know that fact, I did not know that. I'm loving the numbers that you're. Finally, someone actually has some statistics on this.
If you put Aaron Gordon on the line in a big game, he will probably miss every time. I will say that.
Well, I guess
He will also probably shoot a bunch of threes because he likes doing that in big games too.
Yeah.
So Zona moves on. That's 3-2. Next up, we have Sandy. Guys, we are picking all chalk here. It's starting to really depress me. Oklahoma versus San Diego State. The game that probably the least amount of people in the country will care about if this comes to it. So go ahead.
On this bracket that I wrote last night, I actually had San Diego State moving on, but now I'm thinking about it a little more. I think I'm going to take the Sooners. I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
Josh?
I'm taking Sooners as well. I think they get by.
I think I have a good reason for you picking the Sooners, Ryan. San Diego State can't score. Oklahoma can. I did have North Dakota State winning this, but same formula. Give me the Sooners.
OG?
I have San Diego State. I think they might be, despite their not being able to score, I think they might be able to slow down Oklahoma enough to beat them. But I honestly have no clue how that game would go. I would be interested in it, but I have no clue how it would go.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to stick with the group here and go Oklahoma. Might as well. Might as well not even be a weirdo. Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and let you announce this next game that we have.
All right. We've got the Jewel basketball program of the state and the Nebraska Cornhuskers taking on the scrappy, plucky little upstarts in Omaha, the Creighton Blue Jays. And just because I know that no one else is going to pick them, I've got the Nebraska Cornhuskers taking the W.
Is that true that everybody has Creighton?
You know what? It's weird because I think this might be one of those games that it's like such a weird matchup because it's like a little brother, big brother type of thing almost, just based on in the state. So I think this might be one of those times where Creighton, this might be a slip-up game for Creighton. But I just honestly cannot pick Nebraska to win 2 tournament games. I can't do that to myself or anyone. So Creighton for me. But watch out for this one.
I have Creighton as well, only because I don't want to send our listeners to AA if we have to get another round of Nebraska talk going.
I do think it's interesting that Nebraska, Oregon, and Wisconsin are all in the same region. In the same little
Not
pod,
in the same
too.
Region, like the same 8 teams.
Yeah, it's kind of an AWR wet dream here.
We only needed Iowa to not follow and be like a 6 seed, and somehow the tournament or the committee just forgot that Iowa and Nebraska were in the same conference and just have them be all in the same.
That would have been great.
Yeah. I would love another crack at Iowa because we get to beat the crap out of them.
Oh God. Josh, who do you have?
I got Creighton moving on. I think they make a strong push for the rest of the tourney as well, but Creighton's winning.
OG, did you have Nebraska winning? Or you said Creighton, right?
No, I said Creighton.
3.0.
Jasker fans will be a little conflicted here, but I like Creighton. I think McBuckets gets his. He'll do his thing, and he'll push Creighton to Anaheim.
Josh, it's looking like, not Josh, OG, looking like me and you going head to head here. Do you want to go ahead and start this one off here?
We have Wisconsin, the 2 seed against Oregon, the 7 seed here in the West, with Wisconsin probably being the favorite. Oregon might be able to upset them if they are really hot from the outside. That being said, I don't know if they'll be able to do that against Wisconsin's defense, and I will let other people pick first.
I'm taking Wisconsin. I think they're just a better team, shoot the ball better, so got Wisconsin winning.
Yeah, I agree that Wisconsin shoots the ball better. That's when they decide they want to shoot. So if they come out and have a good day from the field, then it really shouldn't be more than a 10, 15-point game. But if Wisconsin struggles from the field, then Oregon can hang around and potentially hit the upset that Wisconsin's been known to make some early exits with some good teams.
Take it easy.
Hey, we've never won a tournament game ever, so I'm not knocking you. You've at least won some games. I got the Badgers moving on though.
3.0.
I like Bucky and the Badgers to move on.
There it is.
I actually have Wisconsin moving on as well. I'm not sure it's going to be Oregon's shooting that lets them down. It's going to be Oregon's total lack of inside play. They have nobody who can score inside regularly.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep for the Badgers, baby. Here we go. Let's go.
I will say on that note of the inside scoring for Oregon, Nebraska didn't have any inside scoring either, and they really didn't have a problem taking down Wisconsin.
Take it easy, dude.
Bang, bang.
We've talked about that game. That was literally the biggest game in their program's history. Okay, of course they're gonna get up a little bit.
And Ryan, as I said, it really depends on if Oregon is really hot. I'm assuming that Nebraska was.
I just had to get that shot in.
Yeah,
of course you did. I'm gonna go Wisconsin moving on because I can't. I'm not gonna pick against my squad. I know that may be a homer, but I really don't care. Suck it. Okay, Elite 8 matchup, or Sweet 16 matchup, Arizona versus Oklahoma, which I don't think is going to happen, but that's what we got. I guess Zona moves on here for me. I don't really like this Oklahoma team that much. I don't like them enough to win 2 games, let alone 3.
Yeah, it's conflicting for me on this front because Oklahoma, I'm struggling to come up with the words of how I want to bring this up. Oklahoma, I just don't see them getting into the Elite Eight. Does anyone else think that's a thing that could happen?
Does anyone have Zona losing here?
I didn't got Zona getting this far, so
I've got Arizona moving on. So
I also don't have Zona getting this far, but Zona moves on.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know if Oklahoma gets to the Elite Eight, no matter who they're playing.
Okay, this is kind of a big one. This one's gonna be I don't know how this one might go here. Creighton against the greatest team of all the land, Wisconsin. I'm gonna leave my pick for last.
See, now you should have went with Nebraska because don't you want that Nebraska-Wisconsin matchup?
No, I don't. No, I don't at all.
Oh, you scared?
Actually, you know what? I honestly would rather have playing Nebraska. No, I just don't feel like getting that drunk. That's all that is.
Okay. I've got the Badgers moving on because screw Creighton.
I'm taking Wisconsin. I'm sorry. What is this matchup right now we're doing? Creighton,
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Doug McBuckets against the greatest team.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm taking actually Creighton. I think they're a better team by a little bit. I think Wisconsin stalls.
Wisconsin. Better inside presence. Creighton has trouble with teams that can do well from inside, not outside, but Badgers also have some good outside shooting too. And I just think that Sweet 16's the Creighton peak.
I like that. OG?
I will also go with Wisconsin if Creighton can get a big game out of McDermott and have Raggy not break like 10 threes in a row like he did against Providence. They might have a chance, but I think Wisconsin just has too much talent and will beat them.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to take my Badgers, but like this is not a weird thing if Wisconsin were to lose here. They always seem to lose to that one-man show team. And also, everyone watching this game out there, if it does happen, be sure to turn the brightness down on your TV because it is going to be a lot of white guys on the court in this game. So be sure to turn your brightness down. So
this would be the opposite of the Texas Southern team. It
really is. It'll be the first 10 starting white guys.
We gotta change the name of this
a while ago.
I can't wait.
Does Nigel Hayes start?
He probably will against Creighton because he's probably going to be guarding. He's going to be guarding McDermott. Yeah.
This
so he's probably going to be starting
like Jackson does too.
40 minutes. Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. I mean, they got a few black guys that start, but you know, I mean, it's a whitewash all over the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Elite Eight game. The 1 versus 2. Arizona versus Wisconsin. I'm going to let somebody else take this one.
I will go with Arizona with Nick Johnson having a big game, and the one thing again is if Wisconsin can get Arizona's big men Gordon and I don't even want to try to pronounce Caleb Tarzinski's name on the air really, but if they could, I just did. But
there you go.
If they can get both of them in foul trouble, then Arizona will not have a good time. But I think that Arizona can do it.
This is the trouble I always run into when I fill out a bracket. Is I get to these Elite Eight matchups of like Arizona and Wisconsin, and I just think how unflattering. This could not possibly happen, but then it does. So I just get over it. But Arizona, Wisconsin, like, does anyone on paper that doesn't seem like a matchup that is possible? But we'll see. I don't want to pick against Wisconsin, and I really don't know too much about Arizona other than like just from bits and pieces of information about them. But I think I got to go Arizona here. Sorry about it.
Hey, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the gods.
Arizona for me. I think they're just...
Wow. You know, guys, it's like I invite you guys. It's like when we're all friends, and then you got to go do something like this.
Well, they can't even beat Nebraska. How are they going to get to the Final Four?
Listen, man, drink A, and B, shut the hell up. I'm not going to explain that game anymore to you. It was the freaking lightning in a bottle.
3.0, you got Wisconsin?
3.0, you're throwing up the W. I love it.
I think Wisconsin. I think Arizona rather, even though they'll probably have a home crowd traveling the pretty not so far drive from Tucson to Anaheim. They struggle to get to the free throw line. They struggle at the free throw line. I think Wisconsin takes advantage of that. They shoot lights out just like UCLA did to them the other day in Las Vegas. I like the Badgers to go to North Texas.
You know, if this matchup happens, I will say that I would be nervous about it. I don't think Arizona's getting this far. But, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Arizona got the 3 votes, so we're going to move them forward. But I don't know, man. I think this is Wisconsin's region to lose. If they don't have one of those games where they shoot 28% like they did last year, I don't really. They should probably run through this pretty easily, especially if Arizona falls early.
Yeah. I will say that I would like to see Wisconsin come out of this region.
I think it's theirs to lose.
I would totally agree with that statement.
But Arizona moves on. Unfortunately for me, you guys are all idiots, except for 3.0 over there.
I apologize for not being an idiot.
Okay, let's move on to the Midwest, the landmine field of bombs, or I'm not even saying words anymore. I'm just saying stuff. But this is a rough draw for Wichita State. Like I said yesterday, the committee set this up to go one of 2 ways for them, and it's funny that Wichita State is drawing such like a fit from seemingly everybody. But let's move them forward against Cal Poly. I don't think anybody. Let's just do it. This one interesting. Kentucky at Kansas State. We had some discussion yesterday about Kentucky seeding. I think they should have been a 16, but they got an 8. Based on, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to go with Kansas State here.
Yeah, there's this part, like, I struggled with this one last night filling out a bracket. I so very badly wanted to put K-State forward, but K-State outside of Bramlage Coliseum has not played well at all. They don't have very many consistent, reliable scorers. I think that Kentucky, albeit underachieving, has more talent than the Wildcats, and that they will move on. I guess they're both the Wildcats, so I guess I should specify. So Kentucky moves on.
Which cat will be wilder is the headline here.
Calipari.
Kentucky?
Yep.
OG?
I'm actually really looking forward to this game, which probably is the first Kentucky game all year that I'm looking forward to watching. But I just can't trust this Kentucky team at all, so I'm going to go with Kansas State.
I'm taking Kentucky. I think they pull together and get the win.
3.0 for the tiebreak.
It would be such a Kentucky thing this year if they wound up losing this game, especially after so many yesterday were like, oh, I can't wait to pick Kentucky over Wichita State, and then we're going to get Kentucky-Louisville in the Sweet 16. But I think Kentucky wins this one, but I think this is it for them.
All right, Kentucky moves on, which I'm actually glad that happened, but I'll get to that when we get to that game. The Billikens of St. Louis in the 5 spot against the 12 seed. Who did we end up picking? Xavier. My namesake. This is kind of a weird trending upset pick just because I think that there's a lot of people that have not watched a single minute of Billiken basketball this year. But going with my current hometown, and I don't think it's weird how much they care about this team because they don't even like basketball here. But I'm going to go with St. Louis. Move on. The Billikens.
I've got St. Louis moving on as well. I had them moving on against NC State, which I think is a little more clear-cut than Xavier, but I still have them move. I think Xavier is a better matchup than NC State would be, but I still got the Billikens moving on.
Make that 3 for me.
Anybody have Xavier winning?
I actually kind of am thinking about it. St. Louis struggled a lot down the stretch. They beat UMass by 2 in the last regular season game, but they lost to VCU, Dayton, and then St. Bonaventure in their first championship game for the A-10.
Yeah, I like either Xavier or I like either of them to beat St. Louis. I'm usually on the fence with teams like St. Louis, or like, oh yeah, they struggled down the season. They didn't play anyone, this and that, but the way they ended their season was so lackluster. And I really think that they're going to get 5-12 also here.
Well, SLU gets the 3-2 vote here, but I mean, if they get upset, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Moving on, Louisville the 4-13 Louisville Manhattan. Does anyone have Manhattan winning? Yeah, okay.
The one thing of note is Manhattan's coach is or used to work for either work or play, I don't know which one it is, for Pitino. So that's kind of weird, but I don't think that really matters that much.
OG Chris's fun fact of the day.
Yes.
UMass against, who did we have? We had Tennessee moving on. UMass against Tennessee. UMass is kind of that weird team that they're seated high and nobody really knows why. Nobody outside of the East Coast, I guess you could say.
They had a hot start to begin their year. I believe they were one of the undefeated teams there for a while, one of the last couple, and then it kind of just fell off the face of the earth because no one was watching them anymore after they lost their first game. But I've got Tennessee beating UMass. UMass is they're a weird case because they have scores, but they don't seem to use them. So I like the Vols in that matchup.
I agree. I'm going Tennessee upset.
Yep, same here.
Yep, Tennessee. I'm taking UMass. I think they got some seniors on the team. I think they go one more round, but I do like Tennessee. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they do some damage. I think they can be very dangerous.
OG?
I have UMass winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee won that either.
Just for fun, if it was Iowa instead of Tennessee, does it change, or does UMass?
I think UMass
does the majority?
Yeah, I think UMass beats Iowa too.
Okay. I think UMass would probably beat Iowa, but if Iowa beats Tennessee, that might give them some momentum and might get Iowa kickstarted.
All right, well, that was just for shits and gigs. Tennessee moves on though with the upset. I like it. First upset in a little while that we picked, other than that one team I won't mention. Duke against Ron Mercer. I didn't know they had a university named after the former Bull Great. Does anyone have Duke losing?
No.
I mean, no.
It would be a total Duke thing to do to lose that game, but I don't see it happening.
Me neither.
Wouldn't mind seeing a repeat of all the Duke struggle faces after they lost to Lehigh, but I still think the Devils get it done.
Too much Jabari.
We'll say this, though. Mercer can shoot the three-point ball really, really well.
Ron Mercer was always a very good three-point shooter. That is true. Okay, moving on. Texas against ASU. Arizona State in the 7-10. OG, a while back, about 10 episodes ago, you said Texas had a tournament run in them. Do you still agree?
I totally had forgotten about that to the point where I was going to pick Arizona State in this game, but I could see that happening. Arizona State did not play well against Stanford in the Pac-12 tournament, and I honestly don't know. I'm really interested in seeing this game too, actually. I guess I will stick with my pick that I just made and go with Arizona State.
This is another case of, well, not another case, but a case of Arizona State was a team that was kind of on that fringe of play-in game or right in the field, and they obviously avoided the play-in game. They're in the field. Texas is a mediocre team in the Big 12, which is a pretty good. Is one of the best leagues. So I like them in this matchup just because they faced some really good competition this year. I believe they beat Kansas once already, or they beat Kansas in the regular season. So I like Texas moving on here.
Give me Texas as well.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Texas too. I like who's the big dude? What's the big guy's name? The big boy.
Jordan. I think it's Jordan Baczynski. It might be. Yeah, Jordan, I think, is the one on Arizona State.
No, I'm talking about Texas. The big guy.
Oh, I don't know who the guy on Texas is.
He's like 500 pounds.
I don't know, but they always have a guy like that. Like
Cameron Ridley.
I think so.
285.
Yeah, that's my guy. I love the big old guys in the tournament. I love those guys.
So him against the tall and lengthy Baczynski could be a matchup to watch.
Michigan against, is it Wofford? How do you pronounce this?
Wofford.
Wofford
Terriers.
Does anyone have either Wofford or Wofford beating Michigan?
No, sir.
Go Blue. M Club supports you.
Okay, Wichita State against Kentucky, which I'm glad that happened. For the sole fact that I don't think Kansas State could have beat Wichita State, but it's weird that I'm saying this because I hate this Kentucky team. I hate all Kentucky teams. I hate any team coached by John Calipari. Even if he went to the Badgers, I think I might switch allegiance. No, never mind. I won't do that. Regardless, this should be an interesting game, and I think that Kentucky could do it. Weirdly enough to say, because I think this is one of those games where Calipari can get his team motivated against a team like Wichita State.
Yeah, there'll probably be some us against the world talk from Calipari coming into this game because I don't know how many people will be picking Kentucky, but just trumping up that and the fact that Wichita State's undefeated, but they like we played a tough schedule and Wichita State went out and ran the table against the Missouri Valley. I still like the Shockers in this one, though. I just think they play really well together, which is something that Kentucky has shown the tendency to not do this season with the starting 5 freshmen at times. So give me Wichita State moving on.
I'm going to go with Wichita State too for a reason that probably, if you're not a big time fan of college basketball, this might surprise you. But Wichita State, I think, they have more tournament experience than Kentucky does, and I think that actually helps them in this game.
Well, when Kentucky flushes their roster every year, of course, some teams are going to have more tournament experience than you.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, if you're not a fan of college basketball, you might not know that.
Yeah.
You just hear Kentucky and be like, oh, they're really good, and Wichita State and be like, oh, they're really okay, maybe. You wouldn't necessarily think that Wichita State went on a deep run last year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Shock 'em, baby. I got the Shockers.
Same here.
Man. Watch out for Randall to have a big game if that happens. Because he's also playing for a top draft pick. But moving on, we got St. Louis at Louisville, the Battle of the Lewises. I'm going to go with the Holy... Or I'm not going to go with the holy one. I'm going to go with the
very much unholy fast food one.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the less holy of the two. Lewis is here. Louisville.
Yeah, I'm taking Louisville as well.
Does anyone have SLU?
We were having the debates on St. Louis even moving out of the first round, so I think this is a no-brainer. Louisville moves on and sets up that Wichita State-Louisville matchup that everyone's looking forward to.
Does anyone have SLU before we... Should I just pencil them in? or Penniman.
Penniman.
Go
Move it
Sharky.
on.
It's in Penn, so it's there. It's forever. Tennessee versus Duke. The 11 seed Vols, the 3 seed Dukies. I'm gonna go with my Coach K.
Yeah.
Dukies here.
Yep.
Yep.
It seems like it's about that time for Duke to have another big tournament run. So I got Duke moving on here.
Okay, Texas and Michigan, a rematch of the bowl game from what was that? 2 years ago.
God, when was that?
That was like 2 years ago, right? The bowl game that they played against.
Was it?
I think so, right? Or was
I can't
it
think of it
year?
off the top of
Last
my
year?
head. I have no
Wait,
idea.
are we thinking that, or are we thinking the Rose Bowl? 'Cause that was,
Yeah, the 04 Rose Bowl.
Didn't they
That
just play a bowl game
That was
against each
more
other
than a
these
few
two
years
teams?
ago. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Why? Where am I getting that from?
I don't
Where am
know.
I pulling just out of my ass, huh? Okay.
Probably.
Well, regardless,
I
that doesn't matter either
Michigan.
way because this is basketball. Josh, you say Michigan?
Michigan's winning.
Yeah, I got Michigan as well. Moving on here.
I got Michigan as well.
We played across the board. Wolverines.
All right. Well,
We were very creative in that pack. In this
Yeah.
bracket.
yeah, we really were. I think. Well, that's the thing with this bracket. Although it may be the murderer's row. Is I think the 4 best teams are kind of the 4 best teams. Like there's
Yeah, exactly.
there's
Yeah,
the 4 best
I agree.
teams, and then there's everybody else. But you know one of them's gonna get upset. You know they will. Duke or let's start Wichita at Louisville. The game that everybody wants. The rematch of last year.
Oh. I'm trying to think of how I want to start this out. Louisville, I think, is a better team than Wichita State. I think it's one of the few times Wichita State will face a team this year that's better than them. And it'll be the only time they lose because Wichita State's season ends here.
I got the Shockers winning. I think they're experienced, just a little bit better, and they take the win.
I think these are the 2 best teams in the country that aren't
Wow.
in Florida.
Bold statement.
I think that this is definitely going to, if it happens, probably be one of the top matchups in the entire tournament. And I think that Wichita State wins. I
Wow.
think they get revenge from last year's Final Four.
I haven't heard this much Shocker, love for the Shockers in this matchup yet. Most people go in Louisville.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising.
OG?
I will go with Louisville. I think I said, maybe it wasn't on here, maybe it was somewhere else. I think I said at some point that I thought Louisville might have another Final Four run in them a couple weeks ago, and I don't think I'm going to change that at this point, at least.
So
Louisville.
tiebreakers on me. It's just tough because both teams have a lot of motivation. Louisville's kind of got that they're playing really well, and then if they win a couple more games here, then that even elevates them further. But Wichita State's kind of I feel like they might have that I want to beat this team because we probably should have beat them last year. Mojo to them. And it's tough for me because I feel like Wichita State's bound to slip up somewhere. They have to. Like there's no team is going undefeated. It's so hard to do that. But that being said, shit. Give me Wichita. They move on.
Yeah.
Which is I don't that's gonna be a good game. I hope that does happen. Okay, Duke, Michigan. Another good game. Wow, what a good region. Duke, Michigan. Who do we have here?
I'm taking Duke. I think Jabari leads them through, but this should be a really good game. But I'm taking the Blue Devils.
I've got Duke as well. Michigan has that tendency to just let a game get away from them. Not necessarily on the scoreboard, but just come out flat and not play as well as they should. And that's something that I think will happen here. I think Duke's just really, really good. So, yeah, I got Duke getting this one over Michigan.
I think that last year in North Texas, Trey Burke showed out. I think this year in Indianapolis, Nick Stauskas is going to show out. I think Michigan versus Duke. You know, people gave the committee a lot of crap for loading this region up, but it's going to get some awesome matchups if everything pans out, which probably means it's not going to pan out.
No, 0% chance.
But I think Michigan takes this one.
OG?
I'm going Michigan too, I guess. Duke did beat them by 10 when they played earlier in the year, but that was in Durham. And I think Michigan is playing a lot better now than they were then. So I will go with Michigan.
This is gonna be my pick for a game of the tournament. This is gonna be one of those 2 overtimes, 1 buzzer beater, and then the whole first overtime is just a slugfest, and there's just moments on moments on moments from this game. This is gonna be that game that when we look back after the tournament's over, everybody's gonna be like, "Man, it was one of those games." That being said, give me the Dukies. They pull it out. Who's gonna hit a shot? Let me make a pick here. Give me Rodney Hood hits a big 3 in the second overtime.
Already declaring pro too.
Yeah, so, he's gonna hit a big 3 in the second overtime of this game. You heard it here first.
Did that advance Duke to the?
That did.
Yep.
Wichita State game.
Wichita versus Duke. Give me Duke. Give me Duke, and they're going to end up winning by like 8. Or like something weird. It's going to be like fouls at the end, but Duke's going to hit the free throws.
Like I said, it feels like one of those, it feels like it's about that time for another Duke Final Four run. So I got Duke moving on.
I'm taking Duke as well. I think they're slightly, a little more raw talent maybe. Wichita maybe be a better team playing together. But I got Duke winning. I think they slide by.
I had Wichita over Louisville, and then I had Wichita over Michigan. I'll keep Wichita over Duke. Done.
OG?
I had neither one of these teams even going this far, so I have to think about this one for a second. I think I'm going to go with Duke. They do have more talent. They have Coach K, and I think that's enough to get them the win.
All right, so we have a Final Four of Florida, Iowa State, Arizona, and Duke.
That's my exact Final Four, too.
Is it?
Iowa State feels so weird in that.
Yeah,
it's like seriously, it's like who doesn't belong?
And then there's Iowa State.
But you know what? It's honestly Iowa State could beat all 3 of those teams. Iowa State's good, man. They're a good team. I love the 3-headed monster. I just love.
Before we pick this, are we attributing Iowa State's struggles in the middle of the season to, was it Kane who got injured?
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, he was out, and he's what makes that team go from a lot of different ways.
So I guess the question would be if he gets into foul trouble one of the games, what's going to happen to him?
Well, that's what I'm saying is they have the other 2 guys, Ejim, and what's the other guy's name? What's his name again?
Georges Niang.
That weird-ass name I can never pronounce. That's what I'm saying is if one of them isn't playing well, they have 2 other guys who could carry the squad. So that being said, I love this Florida team, but I just think they're kind of like that team that's almost too good for their own good, if that makes any sense at all. And I have Kansas winning the whole thing, but if Kansas isn't there, give me Iowa State winning this game.
I think it was you, Chris 3.0, who sent out a tweet Sunday something about how now with Florida's win over Kentucky, they hadn't lost in something like 2.5 months.
Yeah, they haven't lost since a Shabazz Napier putback in in either Hartford or Stores back in December.
Yeah. And
who was that other? Wait, by the way, real quick, who was that other team they lost to?
I don't know. I think they had like 5 or 6 players playing that lame-ass team.
But wait, the question remains: who had the most points at the end of that?
Shut up.
All right.
All right.
The answer is Wisconsin, by the way.
That being said, with that, I mean, it's tough for me to pick against Florida, but if there's a knock on them, it's that they haven't lost in a while, which, you know, it's tough to just keep winning games, especially in a tournament where it's one and done. All things considered, Iowa State, they might, you know, get a little overwhelmed with the stage. So I think I'm going to take the Gators moving to the national championship game.
I got Florida moving on as well. I think they get it done.
That's weird.
Me too.
Wow. OG, not that it matters, but let's hear your thoughts on this Final Four game.
I got Florida moving on as well. I think Florida, as we've said before, might get tested by UCLA and Kansas, and that might be enough to scare them into knowing that they have to play really well to beat Iowa State and move on. And I think Florida can knock up Iowa State's three-headed monster better than probably anybody in the country.
Let's shock the world, Hoiberg. I'm sticking with Iowa State, but Florida moves on. We have Arizona versus Duke. The 90s called they want their Final Four back. This is tough. Because that's the thing. My thing with Zona is I think they're going to get knocked out, but if they do get to this point, I think that they're a talented enough team. Like, because when it comes to the Final Four, a lot of the times talent is what wins. Like the first couple games are a lot of like luck or like bad breaks, but once you get to the Final Four, I feel like it's a lot of talent, and Zona's got a lot of talent. Yeah, yikes! I'm going Duke. Even after saying all that.
Arizona, it's still contradictory.
Yeah. Arizona does have a lot of talent. I kind of have a feeling that this might finally be the game that Chris has been talking every Arizona matchup how bad free throw shooting they are. Mm-hmm. I kind of have a feeling this might be the game that catches up to him. Maybe even Coach K goes into a Hackett-Gordon strategy and it pays off down the stretch if it's close.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I kind of just want to see that happen.
That being said, you're going...
I'm going Duke.
I'm taking Duke as well. I think they got a little too much offense. I think they put them away.
Yeah, I think that Duke gets past Arizona here. In my bracket, I don't have Arizona getting this far. But like Brian said, if they get this far, I mean, they obviously have the talent to get past Duke. It's just a matter of the want to at that point. And not that they wouldn't want to, but I think that Duke would have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder. They've kind of had a very, they didn't win the ACC tournament. They didn't win the ACC regular season title. They want to have something to show for their season. And I think getting to the national championship would do that.
Jabari hasn't not won a championship in a long time. I'm assuming, I don't know what he did in AAU, but he won 4 straight in high school, which is winning 4 straight Chicago high school championships or Illinois high school championships and the Chicago Public League is like that is very, very, very hard to do. There's a lot of talent in that city.
Yep.
That may be a homer thought there, but Jabari has not lost a championship in a long time. I'll just say that. Cornell, you're going to make it a clean sweep for the Dukies?
Yep, give me Jabari and the Dukies.
All right, so that being said, the championship game comes down to Josh's Florida Gators against my Duke Blue Devils. This is good, you know what? I'd be okay with this championship game. I would be totally okay watching
I think this would be a good one.
I'm not going first. I call. Josh, why don't you go first because we all know who you're picking.
I think Florida has a little more test. I kind of like them matching up with Duke. I think they're a little more experienced, would match up better with Duke. I think the big test for them is going to be a UCLA and Kansas, maybe at Michigan State, Iowa State. But I think Florida matches up better. I think they win the national championship. They're the best team in the nation, so I'm taking Florida.
OG? Or Ryan, somebody hop in here. I'm not going. I'm not going.
I'm just trying to like rack this through my brain on who to pick, and it's tearing me up inside because I could go either way on it. I could go Florida because they've been proving themselves to be one of the best teams in the nation. They ran through the SEC. The SEC is bad, but they didn't lose a game in it, so you can't say that they slipped up or anything. And then I like all their talent. I like Billy Donovan, but on the other side you have Duke. I mean, quiet ACC season, but still good. And then if they get this far, it's hard to pick against them. If they make a championship game, I gotta give it to the Florida Gators, though. I think they'll win.
3.0.
Interesting fact. Again.
Love it.
Since 2003, only 3 teams that weren't in the top 4 of adjusted offensive efficiency have won the national title. Those 3 teams were 03 Syracuse and the 04 and 2011 UConn Huskies. The top 4 this year: Creighton, Michigan, Iowa, and Duke.
Ooh.
I like Duke.
All right. Hey, finally somebody with some freaking numbers. I love it. Some reasoning behind our nonsense. OG?
I'm going to go with Florida. Not really for a number of reasons, but I just really like Scotty Wilbekin and also Young inside. And I think that's 2 things that Duke might have a little bit of trouble matching up with. So I will go with Florida.
You know what? I'm gonna pick Duke. Florida ended up getting the majority here, but I'm gonna go with Duke. I didn't expect Duke to be my national championship pick at the beginning of the season, but apparently they are. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go with Duke. But Florida ends up winning. The Florida Gators are the AWR national champion this year. Should be a fun tournament because Florida, I guess, is on paper, they're the number 1 overall seed, but are they really that much better than a lot of these even, like, number 2s? That's the thing is this should be an interesting tournament, and absolutely none of this bracket is going to be ripped to shreds by 3 o'clock on Thursday probably. So
burn this podcast, never let it see the light of day.
Before we get off, do we want to say who we have in our own personal bracket winning the national championship?
Yeah, sure. I have Kansas over Wisconsin in the national championship in my bracket. That's what I think is going to happen because I hate myself. That's the only reason, is because I absolutely hate myself.
I must be on the ESPN payroll because I picked Michigan State to win it all.
OG?
I actually had Florida winning it over Michigan.
Okay, I can see that.
Way back.
3.0?
3.0, you got it.
I had Wichita going 40-0, beating Florida.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be crazy to do that. I had Florida over Duke, the same exact matchup. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Who's the first number 1 seed to lose? Real quick, before we get out of here.
Zona.
Let's see.
Not in terms of day, in terms of seed, in terms of round.
I got Zona too. I got Arizona get knocked out before.
Yeah, I'll go Arizona because they could very well lose to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
Man,
I also have Arizona. It's funny because we have Arizona in our Final Four, and we all just said Arizona's going to lose.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to pick either Virginia or Arizona. You know what? I'll change that to Virginia.
I have Virginia and Wichita State both losing to 4 seeds, Michigan State and Louisville.
See, I have Virginia losing. I don't think Arizona's getting past Oklahoma State, so they're only winning the one game. All right, well, I think we should get out of here on that note. Be sure to follow us at AWR Podcast on Twitter and check out the website for all things NCAA tournament. Get your last-minute bracket noise in rerecordingblog.wordpress.com. Be sure to check it out, your one-stop shop for all things March Madness this year.
I make one March Madness recommendation. Whatever we just did, do the opposite.
Absolutely. Especially everything I picked. Do everything the opposite of what I picked.
Except that Nebraska pick. You pick Nebraska, or I will fire you.
Drink twice. Everyone's hammered.
Ryan, before we get out of here, are we going to try to do a live hangout for one of the...
I'm still down for that. We'll talk about it. We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
Off air.
Look for that on the Twitter.
Yeah, look for that on the Twitter. There may be a live watch party, live AWR watch party podcast coming this weekend. May or may not. I'm going to say 85% chance it happens. So enjoy the tournament, everyone. Should be a fun one. We'll be back next week to talk about everything that happened over the weekend, to recap it all for you. All the upsets, all the shockers, all the dancing. And go Cubs.